What is good, YouTube? Quinn Wade coming to y'all with that instant analysis. This time we're going to talk about the rundown. We're going to go over every single team and talk about their season quickly, like I usually do on the rundowns. And I think it's going to be fun. The season is over, the seedings are in place, and the play-in is in place. We don't really know what teams are going to be locked into those 7 and 8 spots, but we get what they did all season. I'm a guy that basically watched every single game that I could, kept up with every single team as much as I could. So this analysis is legit. This analysis is going to be fun because the rundown has always been one of y'all favorite series on this channel. So why not give y'all that end of the season rundown of what happened this year for each and every team, good or bad. And some teams had an ugly start and was able to correct it. Some teams just lost their whole entire season. And some teams was great the entire year. Some teams showed that they was contenders. Some teams showed that they was pretenders. And some teams that were just out there growing and trying to develop good habits and trying to become the best players they can and become the best team they can each and every game, even if it's for more of the future. And that's how it can be. But like always, usually we start with the Eastern Conference, and the Cleveland Cavaliers won 3 more games than the Boston Celtics. If you would have told me that coming into the season, I would have never thought that Cleveland would be as good as they ended up being this year. But they was able to hold that top spot for majority of the year, and they ended up earning it. They started getting a little sloppy down the stretch. They started making a lot of mistakes. They had a little bit of trouble even in their last game. They ended up losing today. But other than that, this was a successful season, a beautiful season for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They defended well. They was able to be one of the best, if the best, three-point shooting team in the league, and they really gave teams hell all season, just with their stellar play. I love what they have done. I love what they have been about. They're the embodiment of what team basketball is. Donovan Mitchell finally getting a little bit more credit. Evan Mobley emerged as one of the best players in this league. And Jared Allen showed that it was worth taking that gamble on him a couple years ago when they got him from Brooklyn. And he became a guy that they can depend on and actually be one of their most impactful players the whole season. DeAndre Hunter was a late addition to the team, and it ended up becoming a positive thing for them too. And this team just doesn't have too many flaws. They have a lot of things they can do right. They have a lot of things that can cause problems, and they have a lot of things that they can beat you with. And that's why they have been the best team in the East the whole season, regardless of record. They just played that good. Other than that, like I said, they were 6-4 in their last 10. It doesn't really matter too much because they're not going to really be going against some of those teams in the Eastern Conference or in the Western Conference too. Plus their first round matchup, I don't really think they're gonna have any type of trouble with these teams. But you never really know. But the Celtics, number 2 in the East, 61-21, a successful season. We wanted to rest our guys and still show that we're one of the best teams in the entire NBA, and we have the ability to beat anybody, even given night. We're a legitimate contender in this league still, but we just wanted to make it through the regular season healthy and just be able to give our best shot in the playoffs. And I think that was a good strategy. I think Joe Mazzulla was right. I was a little disappointed some games not seeing this person play, not seeing that person play, seeing all the different lineups we trying out. But it all just makes sense. Everybody's a part of this. Everybody can have a great role. Everybody can step up in different spurts. Can they have that trust from their teammates to pass them the ball or believe in them? I think we was able to get over that hump because of how we approached this year and this season. And I think it just made us, more knowledgeable about what players can do and how to use them the right way and how to make them more dangerous. We have a team where our best 2 players are unstoppable, really, in one-on-one situations, and we have so many shooters at each and every position that can really just make it tough in general to be able to, help off them or stop them from scoring. And then you just have guys that just understand their role, like Al Horford. and Luke Cornett or a Sam Hauser or a Peyton Pritchard, and they don't mind keeping that role because they know that they're here to win, and that's the hardest thing to do. But that's something that they have done because they just did it last year and became champions. So why not buy into that role again? I feel like once we proved that we was way better than everybody else, it just made it easier as a Celtics fan to say, this year I'm not really worried about what we do in the regular season. And we still hung around Cleveland. We still hung around the Thunder record wise because we were the only three teams that won 60 games. So do I fear the Cavaliers? No. Do I feel the Thunder? No. They're good teams. They bring different type of things to the table. But we have one of the most flexible, adjustable rosters in the entire league. And I think we can figure out that because it's games off and we'll just be prepared to throw out something new or show out what we can do. I don't think we showed our entire hand either this season. We kind of played around with a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and it ended up working at the end of the day. So I think it was a successful season for the Celtics, and they ended it the way that they wanted to, and they're going into the playoffs as one of the favorites, if not the favorites, to win it again. I would take that season over being the number one seed because we did that before. Now we're just trying to do it again, which is win the championship. The New York Knicks, 51-31 at the end of the year. I don't really have nothing negative to say. This is year one of trying to reach a championship level. They had a great regular season. They had a positive year. People just disappointed because they don't really feel like they're going to win it this year. It's part of the game. Only one team going to win a championship, and that's something that's common sense. But people forget that sometimes when they're talking about other teams. But I think the Knicks showed that we have to respect them. They have a lot of talent. They have some things that other teams don't, which is size, and they have the ability to throw a 1-2 punch that's virtually unstoppable when they're making their shots and they're in their spots. So, I love what I've seen from the Knicks. I feel like the Knicks are a good place as a team and as an organization. And if this year becomes an early exit in the first or second round, they can always look to what worked and what didn't work and try to continue to build this team in the fashion that they like. But I can say, as a person that watched basically every game they played, the New York Knicks season shows that they're going in the right direction. That's all that I can say, and I feel confident of saying that as a person that watched majority of all their games. The Indiana Pacers, they're 50-32. They had a great season also. I love what they did. They didn't get off to the greatest start. Their best player, Tyrese, didn't get off to the greatest start. But then they just start beating down everybody. The Pacers have that type of effect where we're not going to feel rushed. We're not going to feel frightened. We know what we're trying to do. We know our style of play. We know we can score on anybody. We know that it's a long season and we're not trying to rush or force things. But they ended up being right where we thought they would be, right in the middle of the East, being a team that you have to respect, being a team that you have to bring it all unless they embarrass you. And the Pacers, they're deep. They have size. They have a lot of flexibility. And, it's just a fun team to watch because they have so many things that they can do to be able to beat you. And if they get their shots falling from the perimeter, they're even tougher to beat. But you can say that about the Celtics. You can say that about the Cavs too. And that's where they find themselves in a situation where they're good enough to beat majority of the teams in the East and West, but they're not good enough to be one of the best. And we'll see if they're able to replicate what they did last year, getting to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be difficult, but they knew that. But the East is a lot more healthier right now. Milwaukee Bucks, they went 48-34, a little bit of a disappointment this year. They got off to a rocky start. Then things didn't really go their way the entire season. They didn't make excuses. They didn't whine and complain. They just played the season out and ended up turning out to be a solid year for them. Not what they expected, not what they probably wanted, but people know that as long as they got Giannis and some healthy supporting cast, they're going to be a tough team to beat in the regular season and in the postseason. So if you're not bringing your A game, you can have trouble with the Milwaukee Bucks. And they actually 3-1 versus the Indiana Pacers this season. I know regular season stuff can be totally different compared to the postseason because you're only focusing on one team. And I know it's going to be a great series for that reason. But I like what the Bucks did. They went out there and played like professionals. They went out there and played like veterans, and they had to figure out some other pieces that was added to their team in the trade deadline. And they didn't fit as well at first, but they slowly getting chemistry with the older guys that's been there for a while. And Giannis looks still great. He still looks like one of the top 5 players in this league. And as long as you have that, you have a chance. The Detroit Pistons, 44-38, they still playing great basketball. As long as Cade healthy, they gonna be a tough team to beat. Like, this man just knows how to pick apart the defense. He knows when to score. He knows when to slow down. He knows when to attack. He knows how to use his teammates. He knows how to find them. Malik Beasley was a revelation for their bench. Dennis Schroeder was a good addition because he had another guy that can break down the defense and score. And then you look at so many players like the Isaiah Stewarts and the Jalen Durans is adding physicality and toughness. And then you look at the veterans like Tobias Harris and guys like that, that they wanted another chance to have a special moment and have some special memories, and they can get that in Detroit. The only thing I can say is get well. Jaden Ivey, they need you back. You're a big part of what they're trying to do. And let's not forget about that. And hopefully he can get back healthy and give them another boost that, you would definitely take at the end of the day. But, they got some young players like Asor Thompson and Ronald that's still developing and still building their confidence up as perimeter players. And this team is trying hard defensively, and they're communicating, and they love playing with each other. They love the game of basketball that they've been able to play. And I like what I've seen out of them. The Orlando Magic had an up and down season. Man, these last couple teams is just crazy. Is they bad? Is they good? Well, the Magic finished the season the right way by being a 500 team. Obviously, they'd rather be a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference instead of a play-in team. But as long as they make it, that's a successful season, because the Magic had a lot of injuries and a lot of things go wrong and blow right up in their face. And for them to still have a chance to make the playoffs, and for them to still have a chance to continue to develop and grow as a team, that's all you can really ask for, is getting more playing time and more experience. As long as they get those things, you can look at this as a building block season for them, especially if they ended up holding on to that 7th spot, because you have to play against the best to see where you're at. And then you can gauge where you need to get to, and then you can understand and try to learn how to get there. And I think the GM understands that, and I think the coach understands that, and the players, they want to learn and they want to grow. That's why they have been having this type of season, and it's just going to be a fun maturation process to watch when it comes to the Orlando Magic in the playoffs, possibly, and in the play-in too. The Atlanta Hawks, they lost too many pieces. Also, Jalen Johnson and other guys was injured throughout the season, but they had little old Trae Young, a guy that makes the game so easy for his teammates, and he just has, the ability to play off his teammates to get quality shots. And that's why they're a dangerous team. They're athletic, they're mobile, they're fast, they're quick, they're shifty, and they have a guy that can find them throughout this whole sequence of what they're trying to do offensively. And I like what the Hawks have been able to do. They're a tough team because the matchups that they can throw out there always become beneficial for them, even on the defensive end. And that's why they're going to be a tough out, but they're also going to be fun to watch. And we just going to see what happens next with the Hawks, next season. Chicago Bulls, I love this team. Man, this team is so dynamic. They come at you so quick. They come at you so hard, and they have so much fun playing with each other. And they do want to make the play-in tournament, and they did. And they do want to make the playoffs, and we'll see if they can. But the Chicago Bulls ain't nothing to mess with. This team will light you up and come at your head and tell you right to your face, we ain't playing with you. And I like that scrappiness. I like that speed. I like that chaos that they can cause. And I like the fact that they can get hot and put you right on your ass because that's what they can do. And they have done it. Like, if you win in 39 games, that means you're a team that people have to take serious. because they know that you're coming to play to improve that record. And they was able to improve it over and over again. They wasn't able to get above 500, but they also lost some pieces along the way because of the trade deadline, and that didn't stop them from having a decent season at the end of the day. The Miami Heat, I don't really like the team too much. They had too many different things happening with them this year. Too many guys in and out of the lineup. Too many guys not giving maximum effort, and just a disaster of a season. But they still found a way to make it meaningful for the players that still want to be Heat players and the players that don't want to go nowhere. But I think Eric Spoelstra, he's probably had one of his most frustrating seasons this year. A lot of guys, coming in and out. A lot of guys want to play. A lot of guys don't. A lot of guys not taking it as serious as they need to. And a lot of guys having their best seasons like Tyler Hero, and a lot of guys having disappointing seasons too, that they was counting on to develop and have a big impact on this team. So it's an up and down year for Miami, and it has really self-exploded in front of their face too. But we'll see what they do in the play-in tournament. But by the end of the year, 37-45, not the greatest record, not the scariest team, but they was trying to go out there and do whatever they had with what they had. The Toronto Raptors, 30-52, they have took a lot of chances and a lot of gambles on young talent. Scotty Barnes looked like a guy that can be a legit player in this league. RJ Barrett shows you that he can get 20 each and every night. We don't know what Brandon Ingram's going to bring to the table because he's the guy that can handle the ball, pass, rebound, and score. But can he do it in this system when a lot of other guys need the ball in their hands to be at their best? Yaka held the paint down. They had guys like Jonathan Mombo and Jamal Shade, having some okay seasons as rookies, but have potential to do better, possibly. So they got a future that you're seeing things and you're seeing what they can do, even with Emmanuel quickly. And it's just about putting it together and putting a roster that makes sense and fits well on and off the court. It's tougher to do that, but they are gaining talent, and they are getting some players that look like they can play. Now, what are they going to do with them? That's the question for the Raptors. The Brooklyn Nets, man, they had a rough season. They was basically getting rid of everybody and still having chances to win games, still going out there and competing, still going out there and playing hard. You got to respect the players that was out there playing for their own pride, their own dignity, their own respect, and showing you that just because our record is terrible, just because our owner and GM want us to kind of quit on this season, we're going to play for our livelihood. We're going to play for our respect, and we're going to go out there and compete and do the best we can to win. And I love the fact that they did that. The Philadelphia 76ers, man, they had a brutal season with injuries. They rested guys. They sat guys out. They quit on this year, and that was their best plan. Anytime you're doing that, and anytime that's what you're doing before the season is over, you knew that season was terrible. Not too many good things to say, but they got guys like Lonnie Walker that can play under contract. Quentin Grimes looked like he's the real deal as an offensive player and an all-around player too. Tyrese Maxey showing you that he's a guy that's going to be tough to stop, especially if he can stay healthy. Joel Embiid showing you that he don't want to be the leader. He don't want to be the face of the franchise. And he think Maxey should be. If he's fully healthy, there's no excuse why he can't be that guy again. But we don't really know how the surgery is going to go. We don't know how he's going to look because he had another tough one, when it comes to the surgery. Paul George ended his podcast and didn't even play for the rest of the season. But at least he came to play, in the games. He just didn't perform that well. Hopefully he can get healthy and have a better performance next year. Not going to count him out. I know he's not probably going to be the old Paul George, but I don't really think I'm believing that he will be. But I will say he's still one of my favorite players to watch sometimes, just because of the things that he can do as an offensive player and a defensive player, even though it comes and goes sometimes and it's not as consistent as it used to be. He's still one of the better wings out there, and that's why he's still a starter, and that's why he was still recruited by a team like Philly. but there was other people that wanted him on their roster too. So people still respect what he can do. Charlotte Hornets, this was just a bad season. Like 19-63 just means it was not much going your way, not much really happening. LaMelo Ball looked like he can be an all-star again. That's always a positive thing to say because you got a guy that people actually might want to play with and people actually respect. That's a stepping stone to go in the right direction. I love what I seen out of Brandon Miller. Didn't have the greatest season, but he still shows that he can fit in with those guys. Mark Williams' body looks broken down, but he still's a double-double. So that's a good thing. Miles Bridges showed that he was enraged. I can still play. Don't forget about me. We didn't. We know you can play. We know that you're one of the best players in the Hornet uniform. And Nick Smith Jr. showing that he might be a great guard for them in the future. And he can take some ball handling duties off from LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller and score off the ball a little bit too. But this season being done and over for them, they just had to play the long game. And that was about it. The Washington Wizards, I don't know what they was doing. They trade for Marcus Smart, they trade for Chris Middleton. 1 minute it looked like they're going all in on tanking. Next minute they want to be able to go for wins. And now they're not even the worst team in the NBA at the end of the season, like they was seeming like they was heading to be. 1 minute it seemed like they was happy to lose, then they was happy to win again. I don't know what they doing, but they young players do look decent. I'm liking what I'm seeing out of Sar. Jordan Poole always could score a little bit, especially the more he stayed in the league longer. He developed into one of the better scorers as a guard. Bub Carrington hit a game winner, so I believe he can play. I think he has a decent future in the league, even if it's a bench role. And other guys like Bilal Coulibaly can play. He's an athletic guy. He's still trying to develop that jump shot a little bit. And, they got a lot of young players that want to prove themselves, and that's always a good thing. We'll just see who wants to stay and who they want to keep as an organization and who really is bought into this dream and this fantasy of the Wizards eventually finding their way back to the playoffs in the next couple of years. The Western Conference, Oklahoma City, they finished their season as 64-14. I think that's the crazy part is that they actually had a chance to win 70 games not that long ago. But this is a hugely successful season for them, the best season in franchise history. We're going to see if they can end this season with a championship. That should be their only goal after this year, and it should be an obvious goal. All I can say about them is we got to wait and see if they can cap it off. It's nothing to brag about because I did it in on the other rundowns. So I would just say, man, they had a fantastic year on both ends of the court. Shea has dominated the game his way, his style, and he makes it look easy out there, and he's the real MVP for me. I'm proud of Jalen Williams for becoming an all-star and showing that he's one of the better players in his league, like we knew he can be, especially offensively. And Chet Hungry. I'm happy that he was able to stay healthy for a good stretch of time, when he came back from his injury. And now we're going to see if he can stay healthy even in the playoffs because they're going to need his rebounding, his rim protection, and his floor spacing and his size, at full effect. The Houston Rockets, 52-30. They was a team that showed a lot of things last year and was able to show that those things still are great for them this year. Ime Udoka, you gotta give him a lot of credit for challenging his players to be better, demanding them to, play harder, demanding them to be smarter, and showing them what they're doing wrong and trying to help them not repeat the same process that will help them fail in this league because he believed in them. I believe that they got a passionate coach that believes in his guys, that respect his guys and want the best from his guys. And that's why you see them playing with so much confidence and playing so much better than they did the last 3 years. And even last year, you can see that things were changing for the better for the Rockets. And it showed this year especially. The Los Angeles Lakers, they won 50 games and they lost 32 of them. This was a respectable season. Like a lot of people knew the Lakers, even when AD was there, they should be a playoff team, even with Austin Reeves and these guys. And Rui Hachimura played a good role, especially when he's healthy. We knew that the Lakers would be a good enough team to make it. Most people didn't see him being top three. Even Lakers fans was going to be surprised because they didn't expect to get Luka Doncic this year, and that's going to be something I can see benefiting them more in the playoffs than a regular season, because you playing against all different type of teams instead of one specific team. And we're going to really see JJ Redick's strategies. We're going to really see what he's going to be trying to do. We're going to see how he prepares. Not question it. We're just going to see how great of a coach he really is. And like I always say, playoffs is where the legends are made. It's not just from players, it's just in general. And, LeBron, Ramon, James never get questioned. He carried some of the weakest rosters to the playoffs and even to the NBA Finals. And I know he's 40 years old, but he got a great running mate and a great supporting cast. And if he does decide to come back next year, I think they can take this roster to another level like the Lakers usually do. And that can be trouble for the NBA. And the Denver Nuggets, they have been an up and down team. They go as far as Jokic takes them. And if Jokic is going to dominate and he's going to have the ball, he's going to make precision decisions. And they eat and feast off that. And as long as he's healthy and as long as he can play, they're going to give teams fits like they always have. And Jamal Murray, he's going to have to stay healthy. I know he's been dealing with some lingering issues. He's going to need to be as healthy as he can be. He's going to have some time off because they avoided the play-in tournament, and he needs to use that to get some rest so his body can feel a lot better. Michael Porter Jr., he needs to continue to rebound and continue to cut and continue to hit threes. And you can say the same thing about Aaron Gordon, and Christian Braun just needs to fill in the rest. Rebound, keep the ball moving, shoot when you need to, cut to the basket when you need to, get out in transition, get easy buckets. And if they're doing the simple, minimalistic things while doing the fundamentals, they can be a tough team to beat like they always are. LA Clippers, Kawhi the Claw Leonard is back, and he's happy. He's playing his game the way he used to and how he wants to. I think it's just a good thing to see, for the NBA. He wanted to come back. He heard the noise. He heard what people were saying. He just ignored it, focused on his rehab, focused on his career, focused on getting better, focused on getting back to where he used to be. And now he's basically back there by the end of this year. And now you just hope he can stay healthy for the rest of the playoffs. But James Harden showed that he's still one of the best players in this game, even though he's getting older. Norman Powell showed that he can be great in his role and even greater if they needed him to do more. You can say the same thing about Vika Zubac. I like their bench, Derrick Jones Jr. I like what Chris Dunn has done. I like what Ben Simmons doing defensively. I like him as a screen setter. It's so many things that's going right for the Clippers, and that just shows you that they have put a roster together that really fits what they're trying to do on both ends of the court, and they're getting the best out of it. I mean, anytime you can win 50 games, that just show you that you're one of the better teams, regardless of the conferences. Minnesota Timberwolves, they went 49-33. Unfortunately, they miss out on the 50-win mark, but they have a young star in Anthony Edwards that's showing you can win with me. You just got to give me some help. If you give me some help, I can get you to the conference finals. I can get some type of success. I can play hard. I can make plays. I can make plays for myself. I can knock down shots. I can step up in those big moments. And I just need my teammates to be there for me and do their part too and just be a threat out there. And I seen it. I seen it this year. He shined so brightly as a player and just having so much chaos and so much things happening to him that you're the guy we have to stop. You're the guy we have to slow down. If we do that, we got a good chance of beating you. A lot of superstars and a lot of the greatest players ever are going or went through that already. And that's why I can see why I can give Anthony Edwards that type of advice. You don't really need Michael Jordan to give it to you. There's so many great players that still living too that had to go through that same thing. If we stop you or we slow you down, we have a good chance of beating your team. And he just has to continue to play hard, continue to be accountable, continue to be responsible, continue to watch footage, continue to work on his game. And once they give him the talent, if they do, they'll be right where they need to be. And that can be possible, be a championship team. We just have to see how they build the roster and what they do with it. Other than that, Anthony Edwards, man, he's one of the best players in the league, and he's been proving that. And I think he had a great season. Golden State Warriors. Wardell Stephen Curry the second just put on a great season again, hitting the threes, taking over games, stepping up. But he had some bad ones in this year too. And he just came off another loss. This time it was to the Clippers, and they not getting the noise and the respect that other teams are getting in the Western Conference because they have been so bad and they have been good, and you haven't seemed to be great enough. And that's what happened with older teams. We know that y'all can still hit that switch. We know that y'all still should be respected, but we just see so many teams going in different directions, and we see other teams playing better, more consistently. So the Warriors is just a team that we look at. They're great. We know what they can do. We know how hard it's going to be to beat them, but it's going to be hard to beat us too. And that's what the Warriors find themselves in that 7th seed. If they beat the Rockets, would I be surprised? No. If they lose to the Rockets, would I be surprised? No, because they have been a team that has been all over the place on both ends of the court. One minute it looked like Steph got 5 more years on them. Then the next minute it looked like Steph don't have too much left in the tank. You know, when he's playing defense and when he's trying to score, when he's trying to find his shots and his rhythm. But I also would say the playoffs helps them because of the space. You don't have to play back to backs usually in the playoffs, so that can actually help them get their rest and get their preparation the way that they needed to be able to make a deep playoff run. So I give them that. Memphis Grizzlies, they also 48 and 34. They had a good season this year, not a great one. They didn't really impress too many people. They had their injuries. Ja Morant was limited this year. Jaren Jackson looks like a star that can do everything but rebound, and that just doesn't make sense. Desmond Bain seems like he's a legit two guard in this league, and he's borderline unstoppable because his jump shot is falling and he's physical going to the rim. Other than that, they're deep, they're athletic, they're mobile. They can throw a lot of different lineups at you. They can throw a lot of different things at you. And John Morant can take over games and carry the load just like Desmond Bain, which means they can be a tough team to beat. But we know that like the Memphis Grizzlies has been a team that we know is a good team. That's why we have them making the playoffs every year because they have everything that they need to be great. They just didn't show it enough this year. They was talking the talk and they was feeling themselves and they was waiting for it to be their time and they believed in themselves. They just didn't execute it the way that it needed to be executed. And that's why people laugh at them and doubt them a little bit. You was feeling yourself. You thought you was the shit. But for what we seeing, you're not there yet, or you ain't done it yet. And it's been a couple seasons when you failed at it. So we're not really hearing that noise from them. We're not really feeling that noise from them until they finally back it up in the playoffs, and we'll have to see if they do. The Sacramento Kings, 40 and 42 for their record. They had a year where they was going to be mediocre. We knew that they had the talent. We knew that there was going to be a team that can score. We knew there was going to be a team that was going to be in your face sometimes. But that's it. Like the Kings, they got our respect. You know, they got some players that we respect here and all around the world, but they have some issues with their roster and they only can do certain things. They only can play to a high level for a certain period of time before it all just start to crumble in a game and in a series if they get in one. But they got this far showing you that they ain't crazy about the talent that they have. It's just we know they're not going to be a legitimate team in the West no time soon if this is the best roster that they can build and have. Dallas Mavericks, no Kyrie, their season is over. If they had Kyrie and AD, we would look at this team totally different. They'll finish this season totally different. If you can gang up on Anthony Davis and try to make it tough for him, try to make him get rid of the ball early or keep him from getting the ball, you have a great chance of beating the Dallas Mavericks because he's a big man. He needs somebody to get him the ball. If he brings up the ball, he can see over the top of the defense, but then he has to find a way to get to the rim or get close to it again. And then you can fight and make it hard for him to get the ball again. So they're in a tough situation because they don't have a point guard that can carry them offensively because Kyrie was that guy. a guy that can set you up, and a guy that can play off you, and a guy that can make your job easier, and a guy they have to pay attention to. They don't have that no more. So it just makes them more predictable. And that's the problem with the Mavericks. But they did have a season where they fought and they didn't give up, and they feel like they still should be respected a little bit. But there's only so much you can do when your roster is not where it needs to be no more. And you can say the same thing about the Phoenix Suns. They had everything they needed when it comes to position. They just couldn't figure out how to play the game the right way, and they couldn't figure out how to do it the right way on both ends of the court. And it seemed like 1 minute they're playing hard, 1 minute they're not, 1 minute they playing offense that makes sense. Then the next minute they're taking tough shots in isolation. If you're a defender, you'll live with that. If you're going to execute like that and you're going to play the game like that, we'll live with those decisions. Those decisions wear you down over 4 quarters. And the Suns just never figured that out. If you want to play that type of basketball, we're cool with it as defenders. We're cool with it as a team. We can outscore you. We can get enough stops on you to where we can win those games when it comes to 4 quarters. It's a 4 quarter game. You can get hot in the first quarter, you can get hot in the second quarter. If you don't end that third and fourth quarter the right way, you might be in trouble. Portland Trailblazers, 36 and 46 on their season. This is impressive. They have a lot of young talent, and they had a lot of guys that can play that didn't play or get a lot of minutes or just wasn't available. But they're young players like Scoot Henderson and Shaden Sharp, Donovan Clingan, and guys like that really made it a great season for them because they had a lot of playing time, and they showed that they are getting better and they are learning and they're showing improvement. So as long as you're getting that from them, that's all you can really ask for, is for your young players to get better and learn how to value possessions and learn how to win games. And winning 36 games is a good achievement for them. Like we said, the same thing about the Rockets last year. Going 500 ain't the greatest thing, but it's a start. It's a step in the right direction. And this year they won 52 games. The San Antonio Spurs, no Wemby, no great season. Just as simple as that. Stephon Castle was balling this year, and he ended his season with another 20-point game, getting my rookie of the year easily because of how he played down the stretch and how good he was scoring the basketball in the NBA level while still trying to figure out what you need to do on a basketball court. A lot of people said De'Aaron Fox made sense with Wemby. I would agree with that. I think they're a good fit with each other. I think they can make the game easier for each other, and they can also play off of each other and benefit each other very well. We just didn't get a chance to see it a lot. We didn't get enough to see it enough in general, but it was still a good thing to see Wemby get a guy that can really push them into the right direction. And I think that next season is going to be a fun thing to watch. Like Wemby's going to be back. He's going to be one of the best defensive players. He's going to be a dominant player. I like what I've seen out of Keldon Johnson the last couple of years. I like what I'm seeing out of Devin Vassell. He's turning into a guy that can create his own shot and score on anybody, and he can do it even off the ball a little bit. You can say the same thing about Keldon Johnson on that. And then you also got Chris Paul. Like this, they saying this his last year. It would have just been good for him to get a chance to possibly make the playoffs with Wemby and see what they can do just to help his growth as a player, and also just see, if he can try to get a chance to win another one. You never really know what's going to happen until you get into the playoffs, and then you just play it out and see what happens as you go game by game. But the Spurs, they have a bright future. They're going to be around for a while as long as Wemby's healthy, and they eventually will try to get over that hump and win a ring with them. The New Orleans Pelicans, their whole season was in shambles from the jump. Injury after injury after injury after injury just ruined their season. And even towards the end, Trey Murphy got injured. So just a disastrous season. A disastrous season is all that they have. There's nothing really to say because they didn't play their best players long enough, and they didn't get an opportunity to see what they really had because DeJounte Murray went out so fast. And then it just piled up and then piled up. Then it just sprinkled throughout the regular season. And then it was like, when can we actually stop playing basketball so these guys can get legitimately healthy? And now it's just about what can they do next year in the off season. Do you just bring back the same crew and see if they can do it and just see what you have? or do you make moves just to go in a different direction because you're giving up on this team that's somewhat been part of been together for a while, and they already got rid of Brandon Ingram. I don't think you want to pay the other guys that's in their 30s either, because you do want to have veterans, but you also don't want to be committed to their contracts when they're not really helping you win. So it's going to be a tough situation for them to figure out. It's going to be a tough thing, decision wise to make. But, I like Zion. I like what he's about. I like what he does. But this is something that the entire team, he usually gets injured, but it was just out of their control because they didn't expect that to happen. Neither did the fans, and neither did the NBA fans. But it was unfortunate because they are a team that has a lot of talent, and they're very fun to watch. And I think that they can be difficult to beat sometimes. And we just didn't see them enough. And then the last team, the Utah Jazz, they went 17-65. The Spurs was 34-48, and the Pelicans are 21-61, meaning the worst team in the NBA was the Jazz. I'm not going to make fun of them. I like the Jazz roster. I like Laurie Marketing. I like Colin Sexton. I'm not going to lie to you. I like Jordan Clarkson. I like Kyle Flipowski. I like Walker Kessler. I like these guys. They got an edge to them. They have the ability to space out the floor. They have the ability to get to the basket. They have the ability to hit jump shots. So I like everything that they really have become, as a team put together by a little bit by the other GM, a little bit by Danny Ainge. And now he can make his mark on this team and start putting the talent together the way he likes it and the way the owner likes it. And you have this much talent and this much youth, you gotta consolidate a little bit. I don't know why would we get rid of marketing. It's like it's not really about getting rid of them. You have to decide. We only won 17 games this year. We have a long way to go if we want to be a legitimate team and a really good team in the NBA. But they have some upside. I like what I'm saying. I don't. They have some upside.